Welcome to The Analysis. We're the gambling databases research team.
And we're a group that's really dedicated to delivering these deep, data-driven analyses of the global iGaming landscape.
Yeah, in our reports, we try to give you a really clear understanding of these complex markets. We look at, local regulations, tax, player experience, all of it.
And today, we are focusing on, well, one of the most uniquely restrictive markets you could possibly find, the iGaming landscape in Yemen.
Our mission here is to explore the complexities of a market that's categorized as highly restrictive. And that's putting it mildly.
It is. This is due to its really strict legal framework and, of course, its deep sociopolitical challenges. And honestly, this time, the data isn't just restrictive, it's terminal.
We usually look for an angle, right? Some kind of opportunity or a path forward.
A glimmer of hope.
Exactly. But the executive summary for this report is just screaming a warning. Let's not bury the lead on this one.
We really can't.
Yeah.
The immediate core takeaway is that Yemen is classified as a complete no-go zone.
A complete no-go.
After analyzing every variable, legal, financial infrastructure, our overall market attractiveness rating for this territory sits at an unprecedented low.
Which is?
0.1 out of 10.
Wow. A 0.1 out of 10 rating is, that's almost unheard of in any kind of business analysis.
It suggests entry isn't just difficult, it's actively destructive for an operator.
So what are the basic metrics that are underpinning that extreme initial restriction?
Look, we're looking at a market that seems almost designed for failure. The gambling legal status is explicitly illegal with limited exceptions.
Okay.
The population is large, about 30 million, which usually is a plus.
Right.
But internet penetration is critically low, only 30%.
Yeah.
And the nation's GDP is hovering around just $20 billion.
Right.
That combination right there sets the stage for basically insurmountable hurdles.
Okay, so let's unpack this score. We have to dive right into the fundamental source of this restriction, which sounds like the legal wall.
And it is a wall. It's rooted in the nation's foundational governance. The entire legal framework is explicitly based on Islamic law, or Sharia.
Which considers gambling to be
haram. Strictly forbidden. And this isn't some regulatory nuance. It's a moral and legal absolute. It applies to everything, land-based and online.
So even if an operator thought they could find some kind of loophole, maybe a small, quiet venue for tourists or something.
Just forget the loophole. There are no legally permitted land-based venues. No casinos, no betting halls, nothing.
And any that do exist?
They're illegal, and they're subject to frequent, very severe crackdowns.
Yeah.
The focus isn't on control, it's on prohibition and criminal sanctions.
Which means online gambling must get the same, if not an even harsher, treatment.
Oh, absolutely. Online gambling is entirely illegal. What's crucial here for you, the listener, to understand is the consequence.
Which is?
Operators and players engaging in digital betting risk severe criminal penalties. We're talking significant fines and actual imprisonment. This is a criminal justice issue.
Not a civil compliance one.
Exactly. It's about upholding religious law.
Okay, so since licensing is usually the first barrier we look at, let's detail that structure. What's the formal process to get a license?
Well, there isn't one.
What do you mean?
There is no licensing process at all. There's no formal regulatory authority for issuing licenses, and our research found no application documents, no technical standards, because they just don't exist.
So any attempt to establish a business legally just stops?
It immediately transitions into a criminal liability.
What's fascinating there, and I think this is a crucial point, is that the non-existence of a legal structure also means the non-existence of a tax structure.
That's spot on. And the irony is huge.
Right. For an operator, the complete absence of a framework is arguably worse than just facing high taxes.
It is. There are no GGR taxes, no corporate taxes, no license renewal fees.
Yeah.
For the simple reason that the activity is banned.
Player winnings aren't taxed either, I assume.
Correct, because the activity itself is illegal. The government isn't trying to get revenue from this. Their focus is 100% on prohibition.
So enforcement isn't about fines, it's about stamping out the activity through the criminal code.
Precisely. And for foreign operators, we have to stress this. Even trying to set up a local presence hiring staff, getting an office is legally prohibited.
You're exposed to massive criminal liabilities from the moment you try.
The very first moment.
Okay, let's pivot from the legal impossibility to the potential consumer base, because this is where the market presents a fascinating, kind of fleeting paradox.
It does, on the surface.
Yemen has a large, young population, around 30 million people, median age of about 20 years old.
Yep.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. A youthful, large population is usually the ultimate foundational plus for any digital market. That should be a glimmer of hope, right?
It should be. But that demographic potential is immediately, and I mean immediately, rendered irrelevant by the economic reality.
So you have the ideal user age.
But zero capacity to pay.
Yeah. And how catastrophic are we talking?
The country's GDP is only around $20 billion. The average annual per capita income is extremely low. It's hovering around $700.
700 a year.
A year. When you factor in the instability, disposable income is, for all practical purposes, minimal. Consumer spending is focused almost entirely on basic needs.
And what does that mean for projected revenue?
The formal market size is negligible. Growth forecasts are under 2% CAGR. But most critically, the projected average revenue per user, the ARPU, is less than $5 annually.
Less than $5 a year.
You simply cannot build a sustainable business on an ARPU that low. It's impossible.
And beyond that financial wall, we hit the digital access problem. You said 30% internet penetration.
And that 30% is just the start of the problem. Mobile penetration is a bit higher, maybe 50%, but broadband is scarce, and mobile internet speeds are cripplingly slow.
How slow are we talking?
We're averaging only 3 to 5 megabits per second. This isn't just an inconvenience. It's a fundamental infrastructure failure.
So for a user trying to access a modern betting site, 3 to 5 Mbps means what?
It means massive friction. Live casino streams, unusable. High-def slots will fail to load. Even just signing up could time out. It leads to massive user abandonment.
And the connection itself isn't reliable?
Not at all. The network is uneven because of the ongoing conflict and frequent power grid failures. A consistent user experience is, it's virtually unattainable.
Then you add in the social dimension. The strict Sharia prohibition must translate directly into deep cultural resistance.
Exactly. Gambling is a major social and religious taboo. This profound cultural opposition limits any acceptance of foreign betting brands. There's a social risk to participating, even if you can.
So given that, what informal activity does persist? What are people actually doing?
It's mostly low-stakes betting on popular sports, mainly football. And it's conducted peer-to-peer, within social networks.
And more complex games, casino.
Our analysis estimates participation in online casino games is less than 1% of the population. It's all hyper-local, low-cost betting because of those severe economic constraints.
Which brings us to the final nail in the coffin, the payment problem. How would they even fund an account?
Payment is the logistical nightmare that just seals the market's fate. Cash is king.
Right.
Digital payment adoption is incredibly limited. The banking sector is unstable, financial inclusion is low, bank account penetration is only about 20% of adults.
So the infrastructure needed for remote iGaming is just...
It's completely missing.
So let's go deep into the business side. If an operator, against all better judgment, decided to ignore the warnings, what technical hurdles do they face? What's the price of stubbornness?
The price is operational impossibility. They'd face an environment that actively resists technology. There's no 5G. 4G is limited to about 40% of urban areas.
So just keeping a platform online would be a challenge.
A massive one, yeah. Given the unstable power grid and the active conflict, it's likely insurmountable.
And the ultimate irony, the market entry costs. We usually estimate an initial investment, but here...
The calculation is broken. The source material is very clear on this. While a platform setup might cost, say, $100,000 to $200,000 elsewhere, the finding for Yemen is stark.
Let me guess.
Initial investment required is not applicable because legal market entry is impossible. The real cost would be security, corruption payoffs, and the constant risk of asset seizure.
It's financially unviable from day one.
Absolutely.
So if we look at the core profitability metrics, CANI, ARPU, time to break even, what's the final reality check?
The reality is that profitability is non-existent. The customer acquisition cost, or CA, is considered infinite.
Infinite because?
Because legitimate marketing is impossible. There's a total advertising ban. You can't legally market. And with an ARPU under $5, the cost to get one customer would wipe out years of revenue.
And time to break even is?
Assessed as never.
This brings us to the 4 critical risk warnings, and we need to distinguish these from standard regulatory risks. These sound more...
They are terminal risks. First, extreme political instability. Yemen is an active conflict zone. Law enforcement is arbitrary and often violent.
Second,
and this is crucial for any international company, financial sanctions. The banking sector is subject to severe international sanctions. OFAC, the UN, the EU.
Wait, let's elaborate on that sanctions risk. What does violating OFAC sanctions mean for a payment processor or a global operator?
It's catastrophic. If a global payment processor touches this market, even indirectly, they risk violating AML and terror financing flags globally.
This isn't just a fine.
No. It means they could be entirely shut out of the global banking system. The legal risk here outweighs any potential revenue 1,000 times over.
That makes the third and fourth points, while devastating, almost secondary.
Almost. Third is physical security risk. Staff on the ground are at critical risk of arrest, kidnapping, or just collateral damage.
And fourth, the ad ban.
The advertising toll ban, which reinforces that infinite CAC. Promoting gambling is a criminal offense.
That distinction about payment processors is the real insight here. The local risk bleeds into global operational stability.
That's it. You're not just dealing with the Yemeni government. You're dealing with global banking regulators.
That's the summation of the assessment, then.
It is. The legal impossibility, the infrastructural failure, the near-zero disposable income, and the extreme political instability. It makes any operation impossible. Yemen is the very definition of a strict no-go zone.
So, to summarize, we spend most of our time looking for the how to enter, how to grow. This report forces us to just confront the never.
It does. But let's circle back to that persistent informal activity.
Right, the 5 to 8%.
The data show that informal sports betting still persists at that rate. So, given the extreme criminal penalties and the total lack of digital payment infrastructure, the final provocative thought for you to consider is this. What mechanism allows this market, which is totally lawless and cash-dominated, to persist? And what does that persistent human risk tolerance reveal about the fundamental, maybe unquenchable nature of the demand for betting, even in the most hostile environment imaginable?
That's definitely something to mull over as you weigh global risk in other markets. For the full text of this and other country reports, please visit our website at gamblingdatabases.com.
Thank you for joining us for this in-depth analysis of the data.
We'll see you on the next exploration.